This is a very big deal, a huge deal, a breakthrough as far as Cosby's appeals are concerned. And in my reading of the case, and I just want to be clear, we just got it. The entire opinion runs over 70 pages. We're still digesting it here in the newsroom, but it would appear to set him free. So he'll be released from prison. And it would appear to accept some of the appeals that have been winding through the courts for many years now, and that his defense lawyers had often made that there were aspects of the trial that they argued were unusual, that brought in information and allegations that were not directly germane, or that is to say relevant to that charges that he were convicted of. And at the time, originally, that was considered okay. That was allowed by the judges based on different doctrines, including the similarity between those other allegations and the charges he was convicted of. Here you have the Supreme Court saying no, otherwise. And I think the big question that viewers may have is this over? Is this the end? It would appear to be the end, because this is the highest court in the state.
Now, he had served 2 years. He was up for parole in May, and they denied parole in May. It was a 10-year sentence. And according to some of the reporting here from Philadelphia, from the AP that I'm seeing, I know you haven't had a chance to go through this, and neither have I, that part of this overturning of the conviction was based on a prior agreement he had with prosecutors, which said that he could not have even been charged in the case. And recall that this was his second trial after a mistrial. So that conviction came after, the second attempt to convict him by the prosecutors.
Exactly. And these appeals have been winding the courts on two major issues. That issue, which was a alleged prior agreement with Mr. Castor, who was the previous district attorney, and then these issues of what else was brought into the case. And so it's really striking, because this was considered at the time by many who follow these kind of cases of sexual assault as a kind of a breakthrough case, where things that had fallen by the wayside or not been charged in the past. Indeed, that original agreement that you mentioned, Andrea, was controversial for many reasons, but was considered at the time the kind of lenience or deals that are struck in these cases. This conviction was considered a breakthrough. And so I think for people who followed this case, or who saw it as a legal breakthrough for the alleged victims and survivors, this is an incredible blow here from the court.
And again, that district attorney, the former prosecutor, who had been controversial for being too lenient, for letting him off, when it finally got tried for the second time, the victim, Andrea Constant, had been at Temple University, where he was a beloved figure, had, of course, gone to Temple University, was a trustee, I believe, at the time, a very active, alumni, and very active in the Philadelphia and Pennsylvania area. So his influence on that Montgomery County prosecutor potentially is what had been at issue. But as you point out, those were pretrial issues. These were all adjudicated at the lower court levels, I believe, before they were able to even retry him.
Exactly. Those were pretrial issues, and this is a complex, what lawyers call a procedural history. But to the point you raised, Andrea, I'm going to read briefly from this ruling, where the court says, we have determined Cosby, quote, in fact relied upon D.A. Castor's decision. That's what you and I are discussing, the fact that the prior district attorney, Castor, had apparently made this agreement that this court finds to be valid. They say, quote, we conclude Cosby's reliance was reasonable, and it was reasonable for D.A. Castor to expect Cosby to rely. And the record establishes, this is the court's view of the record of the factual history, that deprives Cosby of his, quote, Fifth Amendment right, which was D.A. Castor's intended result. And so then they refer to the controversy, as you say, and I'll just try to translate this into English. The court is saying that whatever you think of what happened, whatever you think of Mr. Cosby as a defendant, that the government, in this case the district attorney, did extend him this position, and so he relied on it, and that is the reason they would be vacating his conviction.
Well, just to reemphasize, that does not mean that what he was convicted of did not happen, that Andrea Constant's complaints were not real. Correct. It just means that there was this prior agreement that he relied on, and that for technical reasons, if you will, technical, a broad description, Ari, thank you for that.